Okay. I'm going to call to order the August 8th meeting of the Architectural Review Board and start with roll call. Emily Grachowski, Chair. Oh, that's it. We haven't. No, he's not here today. So it's just you guys.
Katie Toolin, member.
Donna Week, member.
Andre LaPerriere, alternate.
And I'm going to seat Andre for Ed, and I'm going to seat Katie for Kate.
So Andre.
And I'm going to move minutes to the end of the meeting and start with sign applications. Doobie's Bagels and Bakery. Is that you guys? Great. Did I pronounce it properly? All right. Okay, so it's an application for certificate of zoning compliance for signs in the B2 shopping center district. Are you? Okay. So if you have anything you want to show us, you can pass it around or hold it up and just give us like a brief overview of what you're
The
proposing.
existing sign was there, it's just being replaced with something. There's no change at all to the size of the sign and the space in the area. We're just going to the company called some sort. We're just replacing with the same sign company what was there before, except the line.
And no lighting. Or
There's already been backlighting.
it's backlit.
They're all
Backlit. And this one will be backlit the same as the other ones.
Could the electrician could find the line.
Okay. Does anybody have comments or questions from the board?
Well, I have a comment. I like the sign. It's exactly what we look for. It's straightforward. There's the name of the company, that's what you do, and that's it. And even the sign up on the out by the road is attention getting, but yet simple. I like it just the way it is.
Me too.
I agree. I like it as well. Anybody else?
How do you like that?
I know.
Great.
All right.
And just to be clear, the sign's the exact same size as what it is.
Yes, the exact same size.
Going in the exact same frame.
Here's the-
Okay.
here's the- So
Okay.
we're using the same sign.
'Cause I don't have the.
It was in
but I know we had it. Yeah.
It was
okay.
in the other hand.
Because I didn't know how to show it.
No. Oh, I'm sorry. We were wondering, we were like, we want bagels. Okay. All right, does somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the sign as presented.
Is there a
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Donna seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None, motion passes. You're all set. Thank you so much.
Good luck.
Good luck. Here you
Can't wait for
Good.
can't wait for lots and green juice.
I know.
Thank you.
Bagel sandwiches. Remember bagel? You can change bagel sandwiches. No. You can put Catherine down in all of it. It's okay. You can call me Catherine. I
I
actually
think
like
she
it.
actually wants it.
I like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that
I just feel
somehow
like
she
it
got
matches
stuck with
everything on the
Katie.
paper and it makes everyone's life easier.
That's what she wants.
Yeah.
If my dad was alive, he'd be like, "Who's Katie?" Always called me Catherine.
Okay, so next item on the agenda is Stop and Shop application for design review for facade renovation in the B2, in the CAM, in the pedestrian node. Okay. Nicholas?
Yeah.
And
Who else do I need to let
Nikki?
in?
Yeah, it's,
Nishki.
and Lydia for the.
Okay.
Okay, well, that was a quick turnaround. So I don't know if you guys were all here, who was here last time, but Stop and Shop came for a preliminary discussion like a couple weeks ago. And they've made some changes. So if you want to go through and present it.
Yeah, you bring a copy of the last one. This
That's
one's
fine.
That much better.
Yeah.
I think you all have, yeah, the
Yep.
small print in front of you. So This is the existing building, and the idea that they decided that was to apply the new materials that they use if they were building a brand new building on top of the existing facade without changing really very much structurally about the building or foundation and stuff like that. So the concept is to use the cementitious Nichiha panels, which are on that sample board, along with some wood trim, wood trellis elements, and then other cementitious trim elements to build up the facade a little bit to add articulation to the roof, and also create changes in material across the front to kind of break up the long expanse of the existing facade, break it up with different materials. Since we're limited to it being a flat front, we're using the change in material and trim elements to kind of break up that long flat facade. There are a couple of lights, accent lights that are added, and they look like this. They're halo lit. The lighting just illuminates the back of the fixture and the wall behind it. It doesn't shine up or down. And there's no change to the existing signage because it's already been replaced with their latest signage.
It looks like you're lowering it a little though. Is that just my eyes playing tricks on me? It looks like maybe it's coming down a hair, or do you think it's exactly in the same spot? Maybe it is in the same spot.
It's
It's decorated, doesn't it?
close.
It's
It might
close.
be down a little.
It looks down a little, yeah.
We are, since we're raising the parapet above where the sign is, that might be making
Yeah.
it look like it's a little
Which
lower.
means the texture is working though too, because it's drawing your eye down.
Yeah, I mean, we always like it when the signs are a little lower, so if that's happening, that's great.
So the whole roof line is changing?
Like, I think this is basically coming across, but then here it's coming up, not quite as high.
Okay.
Or maybe it's coming up. Are the side pieces coming up to the existing height and the centerpiece coming up higher, or is,
So this piece right here is
Mhm.
coming up a little, it's coming up halfway.
At the
height of
entry.
this slope piece.
okay,
This is the same height as this. And then this middle portion, the light gray portion is
popped up.
up another 3 feet.
Wow, that's 3 feet.
So so what's the total height for the tallest?
Total height of the tallest piece.
So tiny on
30
it.
feet, 4 inches.
30 before, okay.
Wow, I don't even remember what the building height is. I didn't even look at
35,
it.
I
Is it 35?
Yeah.
Right. I guess that's right.
So,
Two
yeah, so they're within that.
stories. Um, well, I do like the detail in the center better than the previous proposal. I think it kind of responds to the things that came up at the last meeting. I'm not quite sure in terms of like how thick pieces are. I would like it. Is it possible for like that gray, the middle gray section to be like furred out a little bit more so that like on drawing 3, you can see like a shadow line between the two, like even if it's just like
Yeah.
a stud width
Yeah.
to pop it
potentially.
out a little.
Yeah, potentially, because there's the depth of the brick still, so we can come
Right,
out.
so like
you know,
come
as
out
far
a
as the
little
face of
further.
that.
Yeah,
Right, okay,
so it's at about 4 inches.
maybe, might not even be, honestly,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know, does anybody have questions or comments?
So over to the side, this is all staying that brown,
The brick,
and then this is all gray.
yeah,
The rest
I'm
of
not-
the rest of the shopping center facade is gonna stay the same color the way it is.
Yeah, the landlord who owns the whole thing, he's mentioned he's interested in repainting the rest of the center to go along with the color scheme of this. it's already painted kind of gray,
Yeah,
so it's not,
it's just your paint looks a little newer. I looked at the
But
building.
the
Right.
brick is staying brick,
yeah, the brick is
Yeah.
gonna stay brick.
and your concern is
I just don't.
the brick with the gray,
Yeah,
or the
it
brick.
just doesn't look. I just don't think, I find it to be very aesthetically pleasing.
Do or don't.
I don't, it just seems very like dark and gloomy.
Yeah, I could see, like, do you guys have other in your palette, other options for maybe like the two side ones to be brighter? Instead of go darker, or the center one to be lighter?
These colors?
Yeah,
Are you locked into those colors?
Well, yeah, they're the standard colors, they're part of their prototype. But we can play around with how they're used.
It's the blue wood. Is that
the
wood?
blue is the windows.
No, this is that. It's window,
The what's blue on the drawing is window, existing window, that's gonna
this here
stay
is-
so it's
window.
not gonna be dark blue like that.
No, it's not
So
dark
the
blue, it's
slat
just
is
glass,
made
it's
of
a
this-
color
This
showing
is the
glass.
slat here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
The slat wood is this.
so
Right,
above, like where the windows are triangular currently, that's gonna be covered with that awning kind of detail.
right, the slat wall comes down in front of this, because this white film is gonna remain because of the sun is so intense on the window, so the trellis is in front of that to kind of help cover that up a little bit, provide a little more shading for it. And then this material is it's the same material as the grays, but it's got a wood finish to it. It looks like rusted wood. So that's what the middle panel under the sign is.
so where are
Oh, that's
these?
down here. So this stuff here is
Under the
in
sign?
here.
That's the brown,
This
but
one. here.
where's the gray?
These are the gray here.
Yeah, but where are they on?
Around the center.
The lighter, the
around
center.
Oh,
at
they're
the end.
coming there.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's all wood for next year.
Well, and Katie, when you look at it here, do you feel the same way? Because I do think it's reading a little darker on the
On
printout
the printout,
than it is in
Yeah, 'cause
reality.
even the last one,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't find this palette so objectionable. Really, you know what I mean? Like this is much creamier looking
right,
than what
than
that
in
looks
this.
like.
Mhm.
That.
And this is the
This is
middle.
This middle,
But then we
right?
have like the brown.
But the brick, yeah. It's, well, that piece is this. Yeah, I
I
mean,
just feel like it's too dark for my taste.
There
Is it
are
the brown?
lighter options
For the wood
tone.
mimic?
Yeah.
Yeah,
we can
I think-
lighten up those materials.
This is almost, oh, is it tobacco? Like it's like at that like dark walnut stain color, like maybe something,
yeah, a little
lighter.
blonder,
yeah.
maybe.
I like the darker oak, maybe,
Yeah,
or somewhere in that mid-range.
I think like not so light. Well, I don't know. Do you have, if you could come, can you come back with a couple?
Under the
of,
style
I
and
can
shop.
come back, or I can mail.
Or
them.
mail
Right,
in
wait,
the other ones?
That's the,
It can't be
the
that,
stuff here, Catherine's hand, right
This.
there. See where? the-
but that's a different color than this.
Well, the
Yeah.
printout is not,
Yeah, you can't go by the
that's
color.
Yeah,
just,
it's a challenge
every
to get
printer
it.
prints
Yeah.
differently, so you'll never.
So this is gonna be all the same colors.
Yeah, those are really, well,
Yeah, those are the
this is
two.
what's in the
Inset,
panel underneath.
Under here, and then,
These are the
which is,
words
flats.
that are the slats.
which is much
Yeah.
different color and looking than this.
Yeah, like these are a little more similar here
Yeah.
than they are, but I think what Katie's saying is that
Go lighter.
lighter might be nicer.
But what I do like though is the, pretty much the frame around the Stop and
I
Shop
like that
sign
a lot
itself.
too.
It pops right out.
Yeah.
You know, compared to the other one that we looked at last time. I like it a lot better.
It's nice and clean.
Yeah. Really identifies the.
Yeah,
pretty much better. We didn't see it on Elm Street, it's easier. I mean, everyone knows the story, but you still want to display the sign.
Something a little bit lighter.
Yeah,
Right.
like more in like a honey brown type of.
Yeah. So it's
Think
just
so.
not all like dark, like really cook. Just kind of like break it up a little.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion. So the other thing, I think we might all have different opinions on this, but I personally, and I know I'm not on the same page with everybody else, I don't like halo lighting. I don't like it on signs. So I don't think I'm gonna like it on fixtures. To me, it always looks floppy, like, you know what I mean? Like we've had some businesses that have done the halo with their lettering, which I understand is different than this, but it's something I don't know if we're all on the same page.
I think a sconce
Like-
is more
Yeah,
distinct.
So on the
Again,
previous one,
there's
I'm
more-
glad you have this. This is a
Oh,
fixture we
yeah.
found,
Yeah,
and that's a
that's-
down light.
Yeah, that's
I would
much better.
prefer the down
That's much
wall
better.
mean, that's-
wash
we're
than
flexible.
to
It's-
I mean, we're
it's
probably
gotta work
picking
for
the
that.
cheaper fixture, but.
It's better, because if you're gonna do that, with such a large mass of that darker color, you're gonna want some contrast to, pop it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that would do a better job than the halo light.
Yeah,
And actually, there's a little more substance to this too. I look at the actual fixture and in scale, it's really pretty small. So I don't know what effect it would even
I
have.
don't know if it says the dimension
No,
on
Yeah.
there.
This actual fixture is smaller.
It is
is.
smaller.
by a
Does
little
it come in a larger one?
No,
Yeah.
it's been tricky. I was surprised.
What's the
how-
play some games with the,
Yeah, I mean, as long as you can light up more of the
If you
wall,
want
that's-
downlighting, you always go
Trim.
for dark side component,
Right.
so anything downlighting is fine.
and that one is.
Yeah, I like
so-
that. I like that
It
one.
might be around the window. Or,
There's a stain, like a gel stain colored called provincial. That's really pretty. And it's like maybe 2 shades lighter than this, I think would pull it together a little bit better. Like it'll just kind of pop more, that maybe you just want to look at. I don't know, just, you don't have to, but.
No, I mean,
no, I think it's a good suggestion.
that manufacturer, the Michia, that makes the panel, that's kind of what we start with because they have the most limited selection. of colors.
Okay.
We'll start with that.
Okay,
Kind of find that nice tone, and then the trellis material that we try to match to it. that's-
Yeah.
Comes in
Right.
much more varied selections, so we can match that.
Okay.
So, that's kind of what we'll do. We'll go back and take a look at that.
yeah, I think it'll fit, it'll pull together that rustic look that you had mentioned a little bit more, because it's a little bit lighter of a stain without being like a blonde
Yeah.
stain. So I don't know, maybe that might be worth,
But it still fit the palette.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, I think so.
What color is that, Kathy?
Provincial.
Eventually.
It's like
Yeah,
a
I know
gel
what color.
stain color. It's pretty. Like low key having your
I certainly
provincial
like
in
this
it.
in
Matter,
general a
generally.
lot more than the first one we saw.
I do think it's an improvement as
Yeah.
well. I like it a lot, except that I just worry, again, like that the articulation in the facade is,
It's still flat.
it's still pretty flat and it's getting a little bit bigger just because like the corners are popping up and the center's coming up a little higher. It's, still, if you can fur out like that center section a little bit. And I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah, I think that would do a little bit to help it. But I see what you're saying, like you can't go out past the brick because that'd be kind of weird. Unless you did it with the brick too, I guess, but.
Yeah, unless you just did that section, and did a
A
little
little
push
bit
up.
bigger. I don't know, but it's not like they're like pouring a foundation or anything. I don't
Yeah,
think they
no,
can
no.
really do that. I don't know. Donna, do you have any other comments?
No, I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
I like the lighter color.
You mean these colors and then the lighter wood?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does everybody feel about moving forward? Do we feel like we want to see these? Like have them come back and see them, or do you feel like? Yes,
It'd be kind of nice to see it, yeah.
all right,
I think it'll be fine, but, you
I
know,
do too.
we need to just confirm it.
okay.
Is it something that can be kind of approved with conditions based on the approval of the samples that I can send out?
I mean, we've gotten in trouble for doing that in the past, like being like, oh, just send this, and then it's approved, but it does. I mean, Chris has also said she wants us to streamline things a little, so maybe it's better to do that. I'm fine with that if everybody else here is,
You're okay.
let's say we can, well, let's think about this. We can recommend approval with the recommendation and leave it at that and ask for the samples to be sent. I mean, we've never made it like a conditional recommendation or to continue, we can do that? I feel like we're not, like, how would you word that?
So you could say that there's approval on the condition that the stained wood is approved.
But then you
By-
still have to bring it back then, right?
They would
Yeah,
have
so
to
he could send it in and
send
we
it
could
in or
look at
drop
it.
off or
Yeah.
whatever. And then the next meeting, you could look at it and say, okay,
Approved,
and then
Yeah, because we can stop by and take a look at it before the next meeting.
but we might, right, we
Yeah.
probably can't act on it until the
Yeah.
next meeting, but you don't have to come back. Or I guess is what we're saying. Unless, I think, or you'd find out probably if you had to come back, like if it was an issue. And then what's your schedule going forward? Like, are you going to zoning after this, or do you not have to at all? Is it just to us, because it's only.
Well, that was kind of my
Yeah.
question for you guys. I didn't think it was required, but
I don't think it is either, so it's just us.
Yeah. because it
I
would
mean, they're just
say,
so
it would be a
this
Yeah,
referral.
referral.
It's
instead of-
higher than what it is
Yeah. Yeah, they went up a little by 3 feet here.
everywhere pretty
So,
much.
so this here is that height.
And this is higher than,
Yeah, that one higher than the original. Yeah.
The light gray pieces are higher and the dark gray
Yeah.
pieces equal to what's there now.
Because they haven't actually.
It's still percolating. Are you still?
no,
thinking about it?
no, just this one, but
I know, I kind
there's
of
something
agree,
about
like,
that one that,
if it didn't, like, what the benefit is of having the boxiness to it versus it being a roof? Or no?
yeah, it's just this thing is bothering me, but I can't explain why. It's too something. Like, this whole thing is fine, it's something about this that
Yeah,
just too squared, I don't know, it's. Is it necessary? I mean,
I think the idea of the design though is to get away from that slope. roof,
Yeah.
You know, which is barn-like.
true, but I think if it just continued here and the
Yeah.
gray just aligned with where that white was,
Yeah,
it wouldn't be.
go down lower.
That's weird.
yeah, just
Yeah.
go to the original height.
Yeah,
Yeah, actually, see here, how about, you know,
Yeah, there's something
Yeah.
about the height of that corner.
yeah. You know, but still transition to the gray, you know, sort of like that.
yeah, we don't need that extra little.
right.
No,
Bop up to hide the
no,
slope roof. Yeah.
and that'd bring the scale down a little.
That would
bit,
be on
too.
both sides, right? Because it's.
Yeah, on both
Yeah,
sides.
people
I
scale,
like that.
yeah.
I'm gonna make a recommendation, or I'm gonna make a motion. That, and can I divide into recommendations and conditions? Like one thing is conditional and the other thing is the recommend, okay.
Yeah.
So, make a motion to recommend approval with the condition that a lighter wood sample for both, like, for the panels and for the trellis are submitted and approved by the board. And the roof on the smallest end sections of the facade is not raised. That the original light fixture, which was the downlight, preferable or is used instead. And the recommendation that the front mass, the light gray mass in the center, is furred out as far as possible from the plane of the darker gray sections. There, second. Second. Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? Okay.
You did it.
Does that make sense? You got what you,
I'm good.
okay.
So I'll send an updated sheet that has your recommendations, your requests.
Drawn
And
and
I'll send physical samples for your review. And you'll let me know.
yes.
Come back.
If you, are you gonna leave this or
I
are you
can.
gonna take it?
I can.
You can leave it?
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, because if you send the other two, we'll probably then be like, oh, we want to see them with the other colors. So like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind leaving it, right, we can
Yeah,
leave it in the
yeah.
office, and then if you just send the other two, we can
Yeah.
put them in. That'd be
Perfect.
great.
I'll
Thank
send them
you.
to Chris.
Yeah,
Cool.
sure. Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Okay. Um. Okay, so we're gonna move on to referrals, and we have Hanford Commons application for site plan review and to modify an approved site plan for affordable housing.
Hello.
In the R residential A district pedestrian node. Oh, I got it. And I see Mike Ott and Attorney Shansky on the call, so if you guys want to update us, we can take it from there. Thank you.
Yes, good evening. Could we promote Sylvia Perdikas also to a panelist? Or maybe she is and I just can't see her.
Oh, she's there. Yeah, we'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you. So just good evening. Just for the record, I'm Mike Ott. I'm a licensed professional engineer and land surveyor with Summerhill Civil Engineers with an office at 60 Wall Street in Madison. So Attorney Shansky is with us tonight, and Sylvia Perdikas, our lighting consultant from Apex Lighting Solutions, is also here. So I'm going to turn this over to Sylvia, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an explanation and a little background. So, and I'll try to make this as quick as possible. So I want to make sure, first of all, that the board knows how exterior lighting photometric plans are prepared. So very simply, typically as part of a land use application, either an electrical engineer prepares one or a mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineering firm prepares one, and more typically a lighting consultant prepares one. Sylvia is a lighting consultant. Sylvia also happens to be a licensed landscape architect, just coincidentally. And Sylvia is who we have always worked with. She's always been our lighting consultant for every project we've done in Old Saybrook, including the 99 parcel and the 109 parcel that you all reviewed a couple of years ago, I guess now at this point. On this particular application, 101 for 101 Lynn Street, which is the middle parcel between 99 and 109. While 99, Sylvia had specified site lighting, prepared the exterior lighting photometric plan, which you guys had reviewed and commented on. But the applicant, the owner, due to material price increases and supply chain issues and long lead times, decided to purchase lights from a different company that Sylvia at Apex does not represent. That lighting was installed. I did not know that change had been made. Sylvia didn't know the change had been made. Sylvia was in the process of preparing, as she always does, our photometric plan for 101, asked me to go out and take some pictures of what was out there. And when I did and sent them to her, she called me and said, Mike, these aren't our lights. We can't prepare a photometric plan. That sent us down the road with a different lighting consultant who has prepared all of the lighting plans that you've seen so far. So I just want to make it clear, mostly, just so you all know, Sylvia did not prepare the lighting plans that you have seen in the past. She has prepared the one that you received this afternoon, and she will be able to explain it to you. And unless you guys have any questions of me, I will turn it over to her, if that's okay.
Sure. Thank you.
Do you want to share your screen, Mike, and perhaps get the plan up there? Would that...
I will. Let me see if I can. It looks like I can. Okay. Can the board see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Mike, it's Chris. Can I ask one question?
Yes.
So on this new plan, the fixtures proposed are from Apex.
Correct.
The other lights will be removed.
Sylvia will explain. She's making a lot of changes, but yeah, Sylvia will definitely explain that.
That's exactly what's going to happen, actually. So my name is Sylvia Perdikis, as Mike said, from Apex Lighting Solutions. I'm an outdoor lighting specialist, and I do essentially most of Mike's outdoor lighting plans and photometric plans. When he came to me recently with the new sites and asked me to prepare the lighting plans, that's when we realized that the lights which had been installed weren't the ones which we had originally submitted our photometric plan with. So in going forward and preparing the rest of the plan, the first thing I did was really do a thorough assessment of the lights that were actually installed. And while there's really nothing wrong with those lights, they're really not the correct ones for this application. We have a sensitive site, it's small, we have the boundary lines very close by, we have neighbors that we want to be sensitive to, and the lights that were installed simply didn't fit that bill. So I went ahead and tried to work with some existing locations, but also had to make quite a few modifications so that we could develop a photometric plan that worked well with this site. We wanted to be sensitive to everybody. We did not want to have light trespass over the property lines into the neighbors' yards. We wanted to make sure all of the light was directed downwards and not upward. And we also wanted to make sure, along that same regard of being dark sky, that we were sensitive to the color temperature of the lights and didn't use 4000, which is a little bit more of a moonlight color, and instead use 3000, which is in line with the Dark Sky Association as well. So what we started by doing was I don't know if Mike, if you want to perhaps use your cursor to show, the first light we're going to use is at 99 in the upper left-hand corner by the dumpster area. We actually are removing that light altogether. So that fixture and pole will go away. It simply caused too much trespass. The way it was oriented simply did not work with the site. It was not doing anything to help illuminate the parking area. The fixture directly next to it down in the island, we're going to keep that existing 12-foot pole that's there today, remove the fixture and replace it with another LED fixture, similar style, stylized shoebox, but one that is going to be a lower wattage, but at the same time has a better optic. So it's putting the light where we need it, which is really throwing it forward to light the parking spaces, but not be so bright and too forward so that it impacts the neighbors in the adjoining property. The light to the right of that down below in that little courtyard area, that again will be an existing pole that will remain, but we're going to swap out the fixture once again and use the same type of type 4 optic as we are in that previous light. So now once again, we're pushing the light forward and a little bit side to side where we want it. If we zigzag back up towards the property line there, we're going to remove that fixture that's there now because we have to, because of the site plan will change, because of the parking spaces and the drive aisles and whatnot, the circulation. So instead of relocating it, we're going to get rid of that altogether. So that pole will go away as well. And we'll install a new 14-foot pole and light fixture in that location where Mike is circling now. And as we move along, we'll be installing additional poles and fixtures furthering down to 101 and 109, all at the same time, making sure that we're putting the light in the proper location. We don't have any kind of light trespass. And we're doing the best we can to really light the parking spaces, but at the same time, not overlight the site. This is not a Walgreens parking lot. This is a residential area. We want to make it safe for circulation of automobiles and pedestrians, but we don't want to have it too bright. In accordance to all of that as well, what we did was we did place some wall-mounted fixtures per the original plan. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that was not part of the original plan, but per the 99 installation. So we do have some square cylinders that are mounted to the building. The ones on 99 we're going to change altogether to the fixtures that I'm showing all across these 3 parcels, because now what they will be is simply down lights. I believe what was installed is actually an up-down light, so we did have some uplight there. So once again, we're going to reduce the wattage a little bit, simply have it as a decorative downlight, which will just cast a nice light along the building facade, and have it be a narrow beam, so we're really not pushing light where it's not necessary. It's simply meant to be a nice accent. And then I think really the final portion is going to be the decorative fixtures that are going to be along Lynn Street. So to the left, back on 99, they did install 2 decorative fixtures already on 10-foot poles. I'm proposing to remove those fixtures, and we will replace them once again with another decorative fixture, but one that I think is going to work better as well. Once again, it's going to be slightly lower wattage. Instead of a type 2 optic that's simply lighting the sidewalk and making it super bright, we're going to use a type 3 that's going to lighten the illumination level and put some of the light out into the roadway. So it will really create more of a streetscape type of feel. So we will keep the 2 present locations and poles. We'll change those heads. And then along Lynn Street, traveling down to around 109, we will install new 10-foot poles and fixture heads. So that's essentially sort of broad brush of what we're doing. If you have any questions, please feel free.
I have a few, and I'm guessing other people have some also.
Of course.
So I'll start. Can you just, in terms of the building mounted lights on 99,
Yes.
and then I guess on the other ones as well, the ones that face into the parking lot, are there more of them or less of them in terms of just the building mounted ones?
On 99, it's the exact same quantity.
Same quantity, and it's the same height,
Yes. Yep.
same locations on the building.
Same location, same quantity, same heights, everything. And
And
it's a
then,
very similar fixture. It's essentially a 4-inch square by about 10 inches tall, but it's only going to be a downlight.
okay, and then for the other two buildings where you're using that fixture on the back. Well, really just the corner building. It looks like there's so many. Am I reading something wrong there? It just looks like on the end building that there's not on the, but on the parking lot side, not on the street side.
Oh, along essentially the main
Yeah.
entrance, if you will, of the building from the parking lot. I do see that.
Yeah, is that how many were always proposed, like on the previous proposal, or is that somehow more?
I don't believe we were showing that style of decorative lighting on the original proposal. We did have a wall pack. You'll see that larger ISO curve on the building there. That's another wall pack that is really made to cast light into the parking lot because we're so tight in space there. We need that to be able to light those initial parking spaces. That was part of the initial application, the original application that was approved. For 109, we had one there, and then we had one on the other side to the north, but we took that away and replaced it with a pole fixture. But these decorative elements, I believe, are a new addition.
Okay. And, well, does anybody else want to ask their question first?
No.
Do you guys have specifications or cut sheets that you could share of the ones that you're changing?
Absolutely.
Is proposing?
Those if you'd like to share them.
Can you, board, see the change in my screen?
Yep.
Okay.
So this will be the decorative post top that will go along Lynn Street.
Okay.
So there are no vertical panels to this fixture. It's a flat glass lens up at the top of the housing, right under the roof there. So the LEDs are recessed in. So that makes it dark sky compliant. So we have 0 uplight. And once again, that will be 3000 Kelvin color temperature. And we do have internal back house side, I should say, shields installed in all of these. So we don't cast light back into the building windows. We were proposing a slightly different fitter than that larger one, something a little bit more streamlined. This is what we're proposing for the, oops, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
How's
And
that?
what we're proposing for the parking lot to the rear, really more of just a stylized shoebox style, but just very simple. In bronze, it tends to just disappear and you don't even see it.
Okay.
And those will all be 12 feet or less in height for all the poles.
The ones that we are replacing in kind at 99 will be on the existing 12-foot poles. The other units will be on 14-foot poles.
So you need to make a modification. The maximum is 12.
I
I thought was 14.
maximum is 14 Chris, per the regs, I think, right?
I'm sorry, I know we spent some time talking about light poles, so I guess I got.
Yeah, I'm quite, I
just
can,
don't-
I can bring the regulation up. I have.
That's okay, I just want to make sure that we're aware of the height.
Yeah, Sylvia and I, sorry to interrupt. Sylvia and I went through it again actually today. It's definitely 14 feet, and we made sure that we're not over 14.
And even the decorative fixtures along Lynn Street, they're on a 10-foot pole, and you do have the size of the fixture. It's about 41 inches. So we're actually at about 13 feet, 6 inches overall. So we don't go above that 14 feet in that location either.
And when you're talking about this one, it's 14 to the top of the whole shebang,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yep.
okay.
It's 14 feet to the top of the pole, and the fixture, the way it sits, so the top of the fixture is actually at that 14-foot mark too. That does not go
Okay.
up. This
Yeah,
image,
in the image, it looks like it's a little higher. That's
yeah, it
just-
looks like it jumps up, but it doesn't.
Okay.
Do we have something for the building? mounted
Yeah, can we
lights?
see the spec for the building mountain, the sconces? Yeah. Okay.
Very simple, streamlined, 4 inches by 10 inches tall.
Will those be black or whatever the other, again, or are they actually that white color?
No, they won't be white. I believe, I think it's bronze that's on the building right now, correct? It'll be the same bronze color.
Okay.
It won't stand out. We're not going to use the actual fixture as a decorative element, so
And that's gonna be 3,000.
yes, that'll be in 3,000 as well.
What color are the decorative fixtures along Lynn Street again?
Black.
Okay, they're not going to be the green that you just showed.
No. That was just a sample on the spec sheet.
Okay,
They will
okay,
actually be black, so they'll match the same color
okay,
as the two that's out there now.
right.
And the other fixture, coincidentally, will be bronze in the rear to the parking lot. Those will be bronze.
And the ones on the building are bronze.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that all of them? Or are we missing one, or is that all the?
Oh, maybe Michael, the one that is going to be lighted, you light the parking spaces on 109.
Oh, the wall pack, Sylvia?
It's the wall pack one, which is the same
think it-
fixture that was originally approved.
Is that it, Sylvia? Is that the right one?
That's the same fixture that was originally approved. We originally, actually on 109, were using a larger version of that. And now because of the layout, we don't need that large version. So I was able to scale it down.
Okay, so I think this is great. Clears up a lot of the concerns and questions we were having. So thank you. This is really great. I'm still a little concerned just in that one spot where you have that wall pack and then you have all the decorations on the wall too on the end building. Is there a way to like limit some of the decorative ones where you don't? I guess I still don't really see, like, without an elevation, I can't really understand why there have to be so many there.
Michael, I think that's something that maybe you could work with the architects to possibly streamline that a little bit. I don't know that they're aware that I needed to put a wall pack there, so they may rethink their desire to have that many. Perhaps we just sort of put them at the ends and not so much in the middle, maybe just like one or two towards the middle of the facade area.
Push out.
Yeah.
Just
I'm sure
Also on the northeast,
Yeah, like the top
yeah,
one.
right on the corner there of Elm and
Oh, on the street side.
yeah, that's a big cluster too.
That one doesn't bother me as much because it's public facing, like to the street, as
Yeah.
opposed to, towards residential.
Mhm.
But I agree, yeah, both of them. If you could maybe have the amount of lights that are at those locations, that would probably be our preference. Yes, okay.
Yeah.
That would be our
Because
preference.
you got 5 in that corner, you can do
Yeah.
3.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, Mike, I have a question. I don't know if you'll be able to answer it. And, but last time you were here, we were talking about maybe if you could find out if some of the lighting that was shining into the neighbor's property was interior lighting, and whether or not there was, if there's any chance that some of that light was light that didn't need to be on all night. And I was wondering if you had anything to report.
So I went there one night last week. I think it might have been Thursday night, I think. There are people living there in the apartments now.
Okay.
When I was in this back parking lot, the only lights that were on in the building were the occupied apartments, and they all had some type of blind or shades, and I didn't see anything unusual. In other words, there weren't any lights on in empty apartments. I've been told that the lights in the hallways don't even have switches. They're all motion detector, on and off. So when I stood in this parking lot last Thursday evening about 9:30, everything looked normal, like any other residential building would.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other comment from board members?
No, I think it's
Okay, yeah,
Clear,
was that,
clear, so that everyone
yes,
knows.
okay. I don't know why I'm whispering it to you first. Okay, so we have one member of the public. Do you want to comment or?
Well, I just noticed it was like 20 lights. This past week, it's on like 5 lights, but they haven't put up the new lights yet. Is that what the story is?
So right now, the building doesn't have a certificate of occupancy as a temporary certificate, and they're working out all the details. So they won't get their final certificate and certificate of zoning compliance until they put all the right fixtures and everything on. So if the lighting that's shown on Sylvia's plan is the only lighting that's there and the correct light fixtures are put up, it should eliminate what's been going on while they've been under construction.
Oh, good, because it was really bright and like at least 20 lights shining out, and now I just see 5, but they haven't put up the new ones yet. Is that what?
So they're gonna have to swap all of those out once they get through this modification, and hopefully that'll address the light issues you've seen.
So they're in the same locations though on that building. She said the building lights are in the same location. So if you're seeing building lights, you're not going to see more building lights on that building, correct? Like they will only be swapped out in place of ones that are already there. You'll eventually see maybe some on the other buildings, but not the type of light that they were, which lit upwards. They're saying they'll all only light downwards now.
Okay, so they're working on the new ones, the way you're putting it, this common week, so I might still see 20, but not as bright. Is that what you mean?
So
I
they
don't
have
think
to
they'll
get this plan approved by this board, and then they'll go to the zoning commission. And then once they have that approval and the final photometric plan is approved, the lights that are on the approved plan, which was described tonight, should be the only lights on that building. And if they're modified per the specifications, then it shouldn't have the light trespass issue that you've been experiencing.
And I wanted to ask about the traffic too, if I could.
So the traffic is a zoning question.
Oh,
So the zoning commission will have their hearing. This is just a design review application. So you can attend the zoning hearing. The next one is August 15th. And you can bring up those issues at that meeting.
okay.
So tonight, we're only doing architectural review and design, not traffic.
And it has been nice for all week, we do the 5 lines, but you know, I'll see how this goes, hopefully it'll be good. And I like it.
Ma'am, do you mind just stating your name and address for the recording?
Morning, 26 Whitewood Street, right in back of this window.
Thank you. Did you guys get that?
What was the last
Lauren.
name, Lorna?
Mitchell,
Mitchell. Okay, thank you.
Lauren D, middle initial, because there's other Lauren Mitchell. So
Okay.
I want to put my middle initial in,
2 L's?
2 L's.
Okay.
So I've been going to all the meetings just because I'm right there.
I remember you from
Yeah.
2018, I think it was.
So
Um,
are we ending that now?
yes, I mean,
The board has to make
we have
their
to make our motion, but you don't have to listen to us make our motion if you're all set. Thank you.
Job.
Thanks, Lorna.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Would somebody like to make the motion or are there any other comments? Okay, we'll take a chat.
I'll make the motion that we.
No, it's
Like, I'll do it.
Go ahead, Catherine.
No.
You go on. Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the plan as presented tonight. With
About, we want to ask about,
the
Reducing-
concentration of
Yeah.
those building decorative lights would be
On 109.
be
yeah,
reduced
reducing.
on 109 on the corner of Linden Elm Street and the parking lot side. There were those 2 concentrations of lights that they be reduced.
Their second. Second. Any other discussion? Oh,
This for all 3 or just,
yeah, we've been doing them all
Yeah.
as one
Yeah, we've been
motion.
looking at the
so
whole.
the
thing.
architecture, there's nothing for the architecture.
No,
anything
we've
else,
kind of
that's
worked
all?
that out already. Yeah,
Yes,
they did that.
long ago.
Yeah.
Okay, just
Um, Yeah, I think, right? I mean, we don't even have it in front of us.
This was the last thing we had to deal with.
True. Wait, is everybody ready to move forward on this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so all in favor?
Right.
Aye. Opposed? None? Okay, motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for the.
Have a good night.
Too. Thank you.
Okay, before we adjourn, can I, it's not on here, but can I just give an update on the, can we have an update on the, to amend the resolution?
Yeah, because that would be.
Because, you know, we worked on those amendments and we have to present them.
To help Brenda, so the
Oh, sorry.
Architecture Review Board drafted sign regulations, and they're petitioning the zoning commission to amend those regulations. That's
And zoning referred us to planning and economic development. And I've been to planning already. And we got a favorable review from them. They did have some concerns about the color limitations a little, some people, not the majority, but some people did. And they asked us to reconsider, well, they didn't really ask us to reconsider, but I think they would like it if we reconsidered the landscaping requirement around the freestanding signs, because it wasn't a drought when we wrote that regulation, and now they just were, I don't know, less enthusiastic about requiring as much planting. I kind of thought some of that was already in our regulation, but
there are landscaping requirements. I mean,
right. So
you can't plant cactuses around every.
right. So
It's been a
but
rough year.
that was the feedback, and I don't know. I just wanted to give an update that that's how it's going. And oh, actually, for Chris Moore, they did ask us if we had ever talked to sign consultants, which we talked about doing, but I don't think, and you suggested it, but I don't recall that if we ever actually did, or if you talked to Tracy Becker a little on the side.
We talked about it, and then I know you've had wonderful sign applicants, and you've already had somewhat crude and.
Yeah, but we did think there was
And
a
I
couple
think
people that we thought would be helpful. I mean, I don't know if it's too late. I guess.
I mean,
is
I
too
think
late.
it's probably too late for this round because you're going to public hearing.
Right.
But at some point, maybe you're going to be busy pretty soon, that it would make sense to, you know, maybe have a few come in
Okay.
and talk to them at some point, because I think what we learned through this exercise of the workshops is that there's other sign regulations that you would like to address, but as I helped Emily dig into them, we started rewriting the whole section, and that's something we really need to collaborate with the zoning commission.
Right.
So the proposed amendments now incorporate your main concerns, and we said, well, let's just deal with the
Right.
top
So if we
five or
dig
whatever it
deeper, we
was.
should really bring in more professionals to talk to us, I guess.
Yes.
Exactly. And then the last thing they said is, oh, well, can you tell us how many signs right now are non-compliant and how many signs would become non-compliant if this went into effect? And I was like, I don't think we have that information. We don't, do we? We don't
No,
have like an
a list of
inventory
every
of signs. and-
pre-existing
right.
non.
Yeah, so that was that. But it was something people wanted to know, which I guess we can't really tell them. And that's it. Okay.
And just as a side note too, I think we have staff report on your agenda. don't we?
No.
We should probably add something in just in the end, staff report and
Okay.
comments or something for general non-application, but in February 2020, that was the last time we sent out, the zoning commission sent out their sign letters. As far as just remember, don't put your prohibited A-frame sign, and then COVID came and COVID outdoor seating.
Oh,
and
yeah,
all
they
of
talked
that.
about that a little bit.
So zoning has made sign enforcement low priority unless, you know, someone has a billboard blocking the intersection. So in the fall, I'm going to start notifying with our friendly outreach that, okay, we have understand that we haven't really enforced signs, but we're getting to a new step. Maybe we're not out of the pandemic, but we're going to go back in the spring to sign enforcement like we used to.
Okay, are we gonna get rid of those?
So pretty much everything, all the
Sandwich board.
clutter, so A-frames are prohibited, stick in the ground signs are prohibited,
The
feather
flags.
flags are prohibited. Window signs that move. I've already written a few of those. I mean, there's a whole laundry list of them. I'm hoping Sarah might have some time to write some of these or help me just kind of pinpoint and get some of the addresses together. But so that'll start up and then we'll get through this summer season and then in the spring, but there's a lot.
Are we gonna get rid of the COVID signs, like the?
If you have flu, do not enter.
Yeah, I feel like we don't need those anymore.
I don't think that's up to us.
I don't think that's up to us. I think that's up to the governor and the
Yeah.
head of emergency management. So I think
Oh, I don't want to step on his toes. The governor,
I mean,
yeah.
we still have a pandemic, but a pandemic doesn't mean that you can have ice cream signs and whatever else, or
Right.
statues all over town. And it just, the commission at first, I mean, when we totally shut down,
Yeah.
we were all kind of like, okay, what's gonna happen? And
Yeah.
how are we gonna write up businesses that are trying to do a makeshift drive-through
Right.
in their parking lot? So
Mhm.
I don't know what the governor's gonna do about extending COVID outdoor seating in that. Next year, I'm assuming they probably will, but at some point, I think we need to start easing back to normal,
Yeah.
the new normal.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Anybody else has anything to report?
No,
Should we
I
have
just-
a public thing on our agenda? We talked about that, I thought.
About public comment? We are not required to have.
Well, I mean, because you
We're not
allow it and
public
people,
hearing.
if we allow it, but we don't have it,
Advertise it.
then,
I think maybe we should start adding maybe in the end something
Yeah.
like staff,
Can you do like a miscellaneous?
committee
agenda
and
item?
staff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
report, something
Staff
like
report.
that. But
Yeah,
I mean, you can't talk about a specific, oh, this application is coming and it's more like general. We talked about your application, we talked about.
Do you mean more about like?
right,
Not staff and not.
but public.
not us, But public, members of the public.
I know we
that
don't
comment
have to, but if we
specifically about-
are, shouldn't we have it on the agenda?
So whenever you have an application, you can allow people to the public, from the public to speak or not to speak. So your role is you receive referrals from the zoning commission on signs, and sometimes it'll be other things. It could be a different, it's not necessarily the zoning commission or a sign review, which is what you typically see. It could be a different town entity that sends you that. So you don't have any obligation to have public comment because it's not a public hearing. So if you had 500 people come in tonight, you could say, look, this is our purview, just like the woman tonight talked about traffic, which is out of your scope. You can sometimes have a hearing where you're going to have people come in and talk about things, related to traffic, harbor management, things that are beyond that scope. So it's really up to you. Same with the planning commission. If they don't have a public hearing, they don't have to open it up to the public. So since you're not regulatory and these applications are not regulatory and there's no hearing, you don't have to. But you also don't have to exclude commenting. I think it's
Like I
within
could have
your,
told that lady she couldn't talk, sorry.
and
you
she
don't
should
take
go to
public
the
comment.
zoning commission
Right.
and bring those comments up then, but I think her comments
No, I
were-
mean, it's been
were addressed.
constructive. Yeah.
and I think that it also, I'd be scared to push away public
I
comment
agree.
and bring a bunch of light
No, I think.
for a very peaceful
communication and
meeting.
Transparency is probably better for us.
Yeah, and I don't want to create an
I think it's-
atmosphere
you
like
still-
other.
Yeah.
You still have transparency. You're
Yeah.
still a public meeting.
No, not that it wouldn't be true, just that people
So
wouldn't
that-
feel like it was true.
There's
Yeah, don't
certain
want
times that you will have applications, and you probably will have one coming up, that you could have 100 people from the public and they're not here to talk about lights or design, they be here to talk about traffic or why we don't need marijuana in our town or things like that. So you really need to kind of, make your decisions and keep people in line, because people will bring totally irrelevant comments
Yeah.
to this board.
Couldn't those be redirected to zoning or the first selectman or, well,
So
you
that's like-
definitely have like a say in what comes
It's
into
not the
town.
first selectman, because he's not making a decision, but it's a public hearing for zoning. You'd send that person,
To
just like
zoning.
tonight with traffic. That's not within our purview. We're here to look at landscape and
Yep.
design and how things fit in. But you will have people, even if you tell them that they're gonna go through and talk about something totally irrelevant.
Mhm.
Why did they get a variance for that? And you're gonna say, well, I'm not the zoning board of appeals.
Yeah.
And I mean, we see it at a lot of, like ZBA, we see a lot of it. It's not, Sarah's the clerk for the ZBA, but we'll have a hearing and it's about a sideline setback and the person will go, well, that person used to be a nice neighbor and then this happened. And it's like, that has nothing to do with the setback. Or it's very common and it's hard sometimes to keep people in focus, especially if they're an adjacent property owner and their property is their biggest investment. And they want to tell you everything about maybe, he doesn't bring his trash barrels in and, he revs the car motor in the driveway at 6 o'clock in the morning. So that's where, public comment, you have to be really, you can get really stuck on a tangent. And if you don't reel it in,
Get out of control.
Yeah. That answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Andre, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, no, it was just a question about the leaving lights on an hour after a business closes. Lately I've been working at night and I come through
Nobody
town
complies.
and
Yeah.
there's doesn't seem to be compliance with grandfathered if that
there's
was.
some that are non-conforming. There's some that so for example, some stores may close, but they have people in there stocking till 4 a.m.
Right.
So then their employees, it can get a little bit, depends on.
There's another one that I saw in town that I was like, oh,
Not coming to you.
no, but I was like, oh, I got really like fired up about it. Now I don't remember.
It'll come to you the next time you drive by.
It sure will.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn this.
Second.
Minutes.
Oh,
Oh,
is that on there?
One question is,
To the end.
what did you think about the new format?
I like it. So
Your
that we
agenda.
do
Oh, yeah.
regular business, then sign applications,
Yeah, I
then
like
design
that.
review applications.
Because sometimes you have a quick sign application and you're like, okay, after 5 new buildings, you're gonna stick a sign application, so it's a little bit.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, because look at the sign we
made
did for the
everything
bagel
go
shop.
away.
Boom, it was perfect. It was a great sign too.
Yeah,
Especially when you're gonna have a lot of big applications coming in.
Yeah.
Kind of nice to get the easy ones in and out the door, but the new business not old. So,
all right, so minutes. All right, thank you. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Right.
Can I vote on that if I wasn't here?
You can. Yeah.
Dying of COVID.
join the club.
Oh, you had it also?
Yes. Horrible. Did we all have it at the same time? Yeah.
About the same time. But you can adjourn.
Oh, yeah,
So, motion to adjourn.
before we get into our
I
COVID.
know, I'm sorry. Is there a second to
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you, guys.